What's up, guys? I'm back with another edition of my 31 Days of Horror Challenge. I have 4 films I'm going to talk about today, so I'm just going to get started. But before I do, I'd like to thank everybody for watching my videos this month. I had a lot of fun doing this series. Alright, so first up, we got The Phantom of the Opera. Now, this is the 1989 version starring Robert Englund, and the main reason I chose this movie was because I knew that Scream Factory was doing a re-release of this on Blu-ray in a few months. So I figured I'd check this one out and see if it's worth an upgrade. When I first started watching this movie, I was taken aback a little bit because the first shot is of the World Trade Center. And I was thinking, I couldn't remember this movie being a contemporary movie. I was pretty sure that it was a period piece. But it turns out there's actually a time travel subplot to this movie where this opera singer is auditioning for this role, and she decides to go down to the local library, and she finds this sheet music that was done by the Phantom, and she sings it, and somehow she gets transported back into the past, and she ends up meeting the Phantom, and he's in love with her, and he's killing off all the people around her and stuff like that. This movie is pretty cool, and Robert Englund is awesome in this. He plays this musician who wants to be remembered for his music, so he makes a Faustian deal with this demon, and he becomes disfigured and also immortal. There's a really cool scene in this movie where you get to see the extent of his disfigurement, because he looks pretty bad to begin with, but there's a scene where he's sewing stuff into his face, and there's a scene where he's taking the stuff off, and you can see like it's peeling back his nose and his ears and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. I will be upgrading this one to Blu-ray at some point. The cool thing about this film too is Robert Englund plays it straight. Like, this came out right in the middle of the Friday 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street stuff, and he doesn't do any of the Freddyisms in this. He plays it pretty straight. All right, let's go on to the next movie. Next, we have Body Melt, and this is an Australian horror comedy from the from the early 90s. This came out right after, what's the name of that movie? Dead Alive, Brain Dead. And basically, this movie is about this vitamin that if you take it, you will mutate. Like, the movie is it's called Body Melt, but only one person actually melts. It's not even the full body, it's just the head, which is kind of disappointing. So anyways, like, in this movie, they ship this vitamin out to this suburb in this small neighborhood, and everyone's taking the pills and they're mutating, and the police are investigating this crime that happened in the neighborhood, and then they stumble onto the clues with this pill. This movie is okay. It plays off like a series of vignettes with each person as they take the pill, and then they hallucinate, then mutate. I don't know. This is worth a watch, but it really isn't all that great. Right, on to the next film. Alright, we have Stephen King's Sleepwalkers, and this is also an early 90s horror movie. This movie is about a son and his mother, and they're like these kind of cat-like creatures, and they need the soul of a virgin to live. They don't really explain much in this what the process is, because basically the son has to feast off the virgin first, and then he turns around and feeds the mother somehow. They didn't really show it or anything. This is an interesting movie in a sense, because like the dynamic between the mother and the son is what really pushes this movie. And Brian Krause, he gets the top billing in this, and I guess he was in that Charmed TV series that used to be out back in the late 90s. And also stars Alice Craig. I guess she was like the ghost girl in the Ghost Story movie from 1981. And she's the mom, and she's actually pretty cool in this. There's a whole incest angle in here, but they kind of downplay that. This film would have been much more interesting if it was just about the mom and the son, but they throw in the plot about the girl that he's after, and they're trying to get her and stuff like that, and she's trying to get away. And another weird thing about this movie is the cats are enemies to the Sleepwalkers. which is kind of weird because these are basically cat-like people anyway. So you think they'd be friends with the cats, but somehow they're not. And this film has a lot of horror cameos in it, and the cameos aren't really all that good. It's got Stephen King, Clive Barker, Toby Hooper, and John Landis. Oh, and also Joe Dante also make a cameo. And they're actually pretty close together, all the cameos. The best cameo in this movie is actually done by Mark Hamill at the very beginning. He plays a cop. He's not credited, though. The rest of them are, for some reason. I'm surprised that there weren't any sequels to this movie, because back in the day they were making sequels to everything. But this one didn't get a sequel, which is probably too bad, because it probably would have been halfway decent if they did one. Probably even better than the original. Okay, and last up, we have Cherry Falls. Now, this is one I haven't watched in a long time. I've been meaning to pop this one again, and I just so decided to use this as my last movie for this challenge. And basically, this is about the small town named Cherry Falls, where there's a serial killer that's killing virgins. And basically, word gets out amongst the teens that there's a killer that's killing virgins, and they decide to have this big orgy party so that they no longer be virgins, they'd be safe. This film was directed by Jeffrey Wright, and it stars Brittany Murphy, Michael Biehn, and Jay Marr. And it's a pretty interesting movie. It's pretty subversive. I think of all the post-Scream movies, this is probably the best. Unfortunately, I read that the film was edited. It was supposed to be much more of a satire, and a lot of the sex and violence was edited out. I think it was even aired on the USA Network at one time instead of going to the theater, which is a shame, because if I Know What You Did Last Summer could make money, and Urban Legends, there's no way this wouldn't have been a hit, because this is a better movie than those two movies. And I also like the motives of the killer and all that stuff, and just the whole idea of it. It's a pretty good film. If you haven't checked this one out, I suggest you do. Alright guys, so I guess that's it. I had a lot of fun doing this. Have a great Halloween, everybody, and I'll talk to you all later.